Yeah. They leak for ages, they're weak for ages. What you'll probably find is you've got a mixture of that. Your expansion's probably flat.
Just some water went into the spur, you see, so I'll just let it dry out. And
Is it okay to pop the power back
yeah,
on? Yeah, yeah.
Should be fine.
Completely dead, that is.
There's another expansion tank underneath, a red one.
Okay. What do you mean by inspection?
Well, I'm electrician.
Yeah, so they come out and inspect you?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know whether you have your gas safe, aren't you?
Yeah, yeah.
So I don't know whether you have the same thing.
To be honest,
I don't think they're bothered, to be quite honest.
they don't really bother anymore, to be honest with you. I mean, I've been a heating engineer 23 years, and the only inspection I've kind of had, I should say, was about 6-7 years ago. They called loads of heating engineers to like a hotel, and we just had a little few questions, and that was it. That's the only dealings I've ever had with gas safe as such.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is as well, I know a few years ago, on one of my inspections, we went to a customer's house, and we had to wait for the engineer to finish. She got somebody in, you see,
Yeah.
floor engineer, and I think he put a boiler in or something like that, and he was just wrapping up, and I just said to him, he said, "Oh, I'm going now." I said, "Did you have any certificates?" And he said, "No, not unless the customer specifically asks for it." And I thought, well, that's crazy, because I mean, if we move the sockets, and we've got to do a one-page certificate, if we put a fuse board in, it can be 10-page certificates. I mean, you know, electricians are just tied up with paperwork.
Okay. You definitely got water in that connection down there, that blower on the counter heater thing.
That one with the... That one that you disconnected?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll sort that out then.
Okay.
Thank you very much. That's the case.
No, not at all. The problem is we don't talk about our problems, do we?
Yeah.
And being a tradesman, you know yourself,
It's a big, yeah.
it's a lonely job.
Yeah.
You're out on your own all the time, you know what I mean? You take the problems home with you, although you try not to think about them, you constantly think about it.
And the phone's going.
Yep.
You know something, there was a, what was it now? I'm trying to remember what it was on TV, right? And they were measuring the stress levels. That I think there was about 6 people, and they said, out of these 6 people, who do you think has the highest stress level? One was a teacher, one was a housewife, one was a self-employed plumber, and there was like 3 others. I can't remember exactly what they were. But they actually monitored them, put monitors on them. And you know who came out on top?
Plumber.
The plumber. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they said what it was, from the time that he got up to the time that he was going home, sometimes, because it's self-employed, you don't have your proper breaks.
Yep.
You work through to get the jobs done. The phone's always going. If you promise the customer that you're going to be there at such a time and the job's run over, it's a tough one.
Yeah, it's stressful.
So you're constantly under stress.
It's a stressful job.
Channel.
I do sometimes, yeah. We've had I mean, it's been a big thing for me. I've got a personality disorder.
Okay.
So, you know, it's been a big part of my life for 30 years.
Yeah.
But as a whole, when we started MENTalk, that's what we're called, my mental health support network. Yeah. We kind of aimed at tradesmen to start with, because we was all self-employed, the guys who set it up. Yeah. But then we just realised that, you know, that's the tip of the iceberg. Men in general, there's something wrong in society where we're too stiff upper lip, you know what I mean? I'm probably from the same generation of you, where you cry and they'll give you something to cry about,
that's right,
rather than asking you why you're crying. You know what I mean? And I think we've moved away from that, but at the same time, the term mental health is thrown about loosely nowadays, should we say? You know what I mean? Everybody seems to be.
An excuse for.
Yeah, it can be used as an excuse. But I've never used it as an excuse. I have my issues, and
some people do though, don't they?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's the go-to thing sometimes when it, you know, what? Sorry, let me readjust that. I say the go-to thing. It's probably the thing that some people hide behind. As an excuse, not necessarily saying that they're not. Well, some of them aren't. But they use it as a reason.
It gets me down sometimes, because I struggle with concentration and personal organisation and certain things like that. But at the same time, I've accepted it now, and I look at it and think, but I'm better at other things than other people. I think differently to other people, you know what I mean? Now I just embrace it and think, you know what? I'm unique. I'm weird. I have accepted being weird. It doesn't bother me. You know what I mean? It doesn't bother me.
But it's like people who are, what they call it now, I've forgotten it. I forgot the word now. Autistic.
Yep.
You know, it doesn't make them any lesser than anybody else. It just, I mean, I've got a mate, he's autistic, but he's brilliant at drawing.
Yeah.
It's like some people who are dyslexic, they might not be very good when it comes to maths.
See, I'm dyslexic. I'm not really bad, but I struggle, especially like putting postcodes in and stuff like that. I always put the wrong postcode in. Yeah. I'll end up miles away and not realise, because it just looks the same to me. You know what I mean? And looking at drawings, like learning this job, I'm one of these people. I've had to I rely on remembering things and working things out logically, rather than looking at drawings and saying, oh, that's how that should be. That's difficult for me to do. I don't get it. You know what I mean? So when I'm learning something, I have to physically do it, and then I start understanding things.
Yeah. The mate of mine, he works for the fire people as a mechanic.
Yeah.
He has the same issue, but when it comes to numbers, and he said literally, he looks at, he's okay with reading.
Yep.
He looks at numbers, and it's almost if they're dancing across the page.
Yeah.
You know, he said that's the way I would describe it. They're just all jumbled up, and
I think, to be honest with you, a lot of people kind of got into these sort of trades because they thought they was going to be away from reading and writing and stuff like that. And nowadays, it's, especially like being a heating engineer, the way things are changing. You know, years ago, you'd get away with not giving someone a certificate. Now you can't, everyone's a certificate, so you've got to be able to read and write to do that. Yeah. Health and safety is a lot sharper, so years ago, you'd cut corners on looking at instruction manuals and stuff like that, and then you've got to read an instruction manual, you might struggle with that. Yeah, you know what I mean? Yeah. It's difficult, and the way things are progressing, I mean, I just did a course, Heatgeek course. I was always crap at reading and writing, you know what I mean? And this was doing decimal places, like 5-6 decimal places, and I was like burning my head out trying to get it. Yeah. And I've got the principle of it in my head, but then if I had to sit down and write it again, I'd just have the same mental block. Yeah. That's just me all over. I remember things, I rely on my memory more than I should, because my memory's crap anyway. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. But, right, we've got no power to this. We've got power to the board. Integral fuse is okay. So I'm going to knock that back off. Disconnected the fan. It's a 240 component. We'll pull the pump off just to make sure none of these have any interference. And it looks like you've got a PCB issue then, if I'm honest with you. We may be able to bring it back to life. Or sometimes if you've got a dry joint, you can put an air dryer on it and it'll just spring back to life. But it looks like you've got a board fault to me. It's not even lighting up. We should have pressure readings off the sensor on the front of there. So, give me a minute. See, look, you've got faulty pressure sensor for a start. 0.8 bar pressure, but it's empty. So you need a pressure sensor. Yeah, he's good, to be fair, this guy. I'll rate him, to be fair.
Yeah. What's that? Is that the...
Just checking the expansion pressure, making sure that's all okay. Partially done. I've got like a huge, decent sized building.
Yeah.
I'm just putting the utilities in there at the minute.
Oh, okay.
And then I'll have all like working boilers all across the wall.
Yeah, yeah.
Most of the parts I take out of boilers are being kept, faulty parts and stuff like that.
Put them back in and then...
So I can put them in and train people to diagnose the faults rather than saying this is how you do it. It's, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's an art in itself, just having the patience to stick with things.
Yeah.
But if you know, if someone can show you what the scenario is, you'll get that fault quicker.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? I probably had a year's training.
Yeah.
Everything else I've learnt myself of the amount of blood, sweat and tears I've shredded in front of boilers and gone back in my own time and not give up, and probably lost £300-400 on a job just because I wouldn't let it go, and you know I should have walked away, but I didn't. I've thrown a circuit board at it when I've been learning and made a mistake, and that's what it's about, not making them mistakes and learning from that. Anybody who says they don't know anything is like full of shit.
You can't do. You can't do.
Like, if you understand our boiler, you'll know where to look. You know what I mean? Like, realistically, you're only going to get 3 faults on a boiler. One's going to be an overheat fault of some sort. One's going to be an ignition fault of some sort. And one's going to be like a faulty electric circuit board, should we say. So then you can't really diagnose anything else. But an ignition fault is anywhere from the gas meter to the burner to the flue. They can all affect the ignition somewhere along the line. It's just knowing how to work through that process and find where it is. You know what I mean? It's if you can understand that process, you can apply that to every boiler, then you'll just find that some will have different voltages, the components will be laid out slightly different, some will be hard to test, some will be easy, and like I said, it's sometimes you're only as good as the information you can be provided with, such as the manufacturing instructions, which, to be honest with you, are crap half the time. Sometimes you rely on finding the manufacturers, getting the readings and holding on to them readings or remembering them readings. You know, you're going out to a boiler at 8 o'clock at night, there ain't no technical helpline. The chances of somebody else you know answering their phone is going to be slim. So then it's like down to what skills you've learned and being able to work through a process of, right, I've got an overheat fault, how am I going to work it out? You know what I mean? So, right, you need a new pressure sensor for a start. So we need to do that. 2 new pipes, they need to be done. And circuit board relay, let's just double check it again. Circuit board's coming on now anyway, the boiler's coming on. Okay, we've got that high reading, so we'll whip that out. Yeah, I was doing a common fault.
That's how bad it is. With the van, because there's water dripping down the back. I thought I'll get that water dried up, you know. Yeah. And I've got an air gun in the van, and I couldn't find it. And instead of going to get on with other things, I thought I can't be bothered with this. So I just left it. But I've got to go in there anyway. Cool they are.
Yeah, rather than stupid money.
So why do we need this one then?
Say again?
Is that a difference?
2 different pipes there. That's a telescopic one.
Oh, okay.
That's that one that goes on the back of the pump, bends round, and that one there is this one here, the other one.
Oh, so
They've done it in 2 parts.
So this does away completely with that.
Yeah, the rubber. Yeah, they got rid of the rubber. It's a terrible idea.
Okay.
So even if you could buy that rubber still and you could get it as old stock, I still wouldn't do it because they crack.
Yeah.
And the muck sticks to the inside. It causes it to stick. The amount of them. I'm going to take it out in a minute. We'll squeeze it. If it cracks, it's caked with sludge on the inside as well.
Yeah.
Viessmann boilers have them in as well. They're renowned for doing it.
Yeah, Viessmann, they're expensive, aren't they?
Viessmann a good boiler though, mate.
It's supposed to be the Rolls Royce, isn't it?
Very good boiler.
Do you service them as well?
Service anything, mate. Anything. Okay. That should. That's him. That's one. Listen.
It's just part disintegrating.
Sludge out the system, that is. It sticks to the inside of rubber hoses. Like nobody's business. Okay. Nothing up there. We'll just drop that one off. There we go. That's what it's all about, man.
Yeah.
No point being miserable, is there? Something.
You can be miserable when you pay the tax, man.
Yeah. So this one comes out and we can bend this one. Just remember the one going back in is going to be solid. So we might end up moving a gas pipe or something in a minute. It's been a while since I've done one.
But I think it was later, Ellie said that we got a call out, just sitting in a call in there. So I went to this house and he said, the house looked dead for me, but I don't think why. So
You want to grip filled it?
The ceiling had completely collapsed. And he said the only thing that was left up there was this ball switch.
It grip filled to the
We
ceiling.
filled to the
Fair play to you then.
lath and plastic, you see.
I need to put the air drawer on this PCB again, I think.
Did that come on again?
No. Okay, we'll get the air dryer on that again in a minute. Just get some water back in it. It better work again. I said it better work again now. look.
It's crazy.
As if by magic. How about that? Let's get the case on quick.